Today's story is about courage. Not loud courage. Not warrior on a battlefield courage. But the quiet kind. The kind that trembles, prays, and then speaks anyway. It's a story where God's name is never mentioned directly. Yet His presence is felt in every moment. This is a story about power and vulnerability, fear and courage. And how deliverance can come through ordinary people placed in extraordinary moments. This is the story of Esther. A young woman who went from being an orphan to becoming queen, and then risked her life to save her people. This story comes from the book of Esther, during the reign of King Ahasuerus, also known as Xerxes I, who ruled over the Persian Empire, stretching from India to Ethiopia. Long ago, in the powerful Persian Empire, there was a king named Xerxes, also known as King Ahasuerus. King Ahasuerus held a great feast to display the wealth and glory of his kingdom. During this celebration, he commanded that Queen Vashti appear before his guests. But Queen Vashti refused. The king, embarrassed and angry, removed her as queen. Now the palace had a problem. The most powerful man in the world needed a new queen. A decree went out that a new queen would be chosen from among the young women of the empire. In the city of Susa, there lived a Jewish man named Mordecai, from the tribe of Benjamin. He had raised his cousin Hadassah, also called Esther, because she had no father or mother. So officials searched the empire for beautiful young women. They were brought into the palace for a kind of royal selection process. Esther was taken into the king's palace and placed under the care of Haggai, the keeper of the women. She found favor with him and received special care. Following Mordecai's instruction, Esther did not reveal her Jewish identity. Esther entered a world of luxury, competition, and politics. But instead of trying to outshine everyone, she listened. She learned. She showed grace. And something about her stood out. After a year of preparation, Esther was brought before the king. When the king finally met her, he was captivated. Out of all the women in the empire, he chose Esther. And the scriptures say the king loved Esther. The king loved Esther more than all the women. So he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen. The orphan became queen. But she kept her identity hidden. And she had no idea that her real purpose had not yet begun. At the same time, Mordecai uncovered a plot to assassinate the king. Esther reported it in Mordecai's name, and the incident was written in the royal records. In the palace was a powerful official named Haman the Agagite. Haman loved power. And he loved attention. The king promoted Haman the Agagite. The king commanded all officials to bow to him. Whenever he walked through the city gates, people bowed. Everyone, except Mordecai. Mordecai refused to bow to Haman. This wasn't stubbornness. For Mordecai, bowing like that felt like worship, and he would not give that to a man. Haman was furious. But Mordecai refused. When Haman learned that Mordecai was Jewish, he was filled with rage, not only toward Mordecai, but toward all the Jewish people. So he created a plan to destroy all Jewish people across the empire. Haman convinced the king that there was a people scattered throughout the empire who followed different laws and should be destroyed. The king gave Haman his signet ring. A decree was issued: on a single day, all Jews, young and old, women and children, were to be destroyed. When Mordecai heard this, he tore his clothes and cried out bitterly in the city. He sent word to Esther, urging her to go before the king and plead for her people. Esther hesitated. She reminded Mordecai that anyone who approached the king without being summoned could be put to death, unless the king extended his golden scepter. And she had not been called for 30 days. Mordecai's reply was firm and unforgettable. Do not think that you will escape. If you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise from another place. And who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Esther sent her answer. Gather all the Jews, and fast for me. I will go to the king, though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish. After 3 days of fasting, Esther put on her royal robes. Imagine her walking down that long palace hallway. Every step echoing. Guards watching. Her heart pounding. Esther approached the king. The king looks up. Silence. And then he extends the golden scepter. He asks,
What do you want, my queen? Even up to half my kingdom it will be given you.
But instead of blurting everything out, she wisely invites the king and Haman to a banquet. Meanwhile, Haman is overjoyed, until he sees Mordecai still refusing to bow. Enraged, Haman builds a tall gallows to execute Mordecai. But that night, the king cannot sleep. He orders the royal records read to him. And he discovers something forgotten. Mordecai once saved his life by exposing a plot against him. But Mordecai was never rewarded. The next morning, the king asks Haman, what should be done for the man the king delights to honor? Haman, assuming it's about him, suggests a royal parade. The king responds, Excellent. Do that for Mordecai. Imagine Haman's face. The man he hates, now honored publicly. And the story is about to flip completely. At the second banquet, the king again asks Esther her request. This time, she speaks. My life, and the lives of my people, are at risk. We have been sold for destruction. The king is shocked, and fury. Who would dare do this? Esther points to Haman. This wicked man. The king erupts in fury. Haman, terrified, begs Esther for mercy. But the trap he built for Mordecai becomes his own downfall. Haman was executed on the gallows he had prepared for Mordecai. Though the original decree could not be revoked, the king issued a new decree allowing the Jews to defend themselves. On the appointed day, the Jews were victorious over their enemies. And they survived. What was meant for destruction became deliverance. Mordecai was promoted. Esther remained queen. And the Jews established the festival of Purim, to remember how sorrow was turned into joy. The book of Esther shows us that God is at work, even when he seems silent. Deliverance came not through armies or miracles, but through timing, courage, obedience, and faith. Esther did not begin as a hero. She became one through obedience. And the story leaves us with the same question Mordecai asked. Who knows whether you are where you are? For such a time as this. Thank you for watching. For more AI Bible stories, remember to support this channel, subscribe, comment, like and share.